Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Wytpod. My name is Harshit, and I'm the Director of Business Alliances at White Labs. We are a digital agency specializing in SaaS and e-commerce SEO. And I've got Tosin Thomas with me today. She's the head of marketing at Financial Sense. Now, it's an easy-to-use practice management software built specifically for accounting and bookkeeping firms. So, big welcome to you, Tosin, and I'm so happy to have you with me today.
Thank you very much, Ashit. I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to our conversation.
Right. Now, Tosin, can you please start by telling our viewers a little bit about your background and your professional journey so far?
Yeah, sure. So I am the head of marketing for Financial Sense. Before then, I was the digital marketing manager for Fiat Match, a company based in Canada. And I started my career journey, first of all, by bagging a degree in biochemistry.
Mhm.
I'm working in a completely different field from what I studied. And my first job out of college was as a digital marketing officer for a cosmetics company.
Okay.
And that was how I began my journey, fell in love with marketing as a career, and just gradually continued to grow professionally, learn new things, take up new challenges. I have a mix of agency experience and client side experience. I spent the first few years of my career working on the agency side,
Okay.
managing clients like KFC back in Nigeria, Stanbic IBTC, and all those kinds of brands. And from there, I moved into the world of tech and started my journey in tech. I joined Financial Sense in 2022, and it's been an amazing journey, just seeing how much we've grown, how much the company has improved its the product, and it's just been a beautiful journey. So yeah, that's just a little about myself.
So, what gave you more kick, working for an agency because you're dealing with multiple clients or working with a single brand?
It's a mix of both, actually. I can't say it's just one of those. So I would say it's a mix, actually.
Okay. All right. So, Tosin, can you please provide an overview of Financial Send and its role in supporting the account keeping and, sorry, the bookkeeping and accounting firms, please?
Yeah, so Financial Sense is a practice management software, or you can call us a project management software, but
Mhm.
built specifically for accounting and bookkeeping firms. Now, before we came on board, there were other options for accountants and bookkeepers to use. Some were using generic project management software that were just not, or I would say are just not customizable enough for them
Mhm.
to find value and find them easy to use to help them achieve their goals. There were other options as well, and still are other options, but they are just unnecessarily complicated. It would take days, even weeks, to get set up on some of those platforms. Some would have to hire a training specialist that would help them move to the software and build out their workflows and all of those
Mhm.
things. And so when we came, our goal was to build a simpler and easier to use platform that accountants and bookkeepers will find easy to use, and it will be customizable and focused on what they do. Now, accountants and bookkeepers do a lot of routine work, like the same set of work every month. They need to follow certain steps in order to ensure that eat they hit their deadlines. They are also very deadline focused. Right now, this is March, and there's a deadline of March 15 and April 15. Then throughout the year, there are many deadlines. So we looked at all of those things when we were building Financial Sense, trying to ensure that we build something that will help them hit each of these goals, help them hit their deadlines, follow their process through, because it's very compliance focused. So they want to ensure that everybody on their team follows the process or the workflow so that they don't make any mistakes and they get the work done accurately. So Financial Sense, that's basically what we do. Our platform is the most common feedback we get from our customers is that Financial Sense is easy to use. We've seen people say things like, oh, I got set up on Financial Sense over a weekend, like Friday to Sunday, and I was set up. So easy to use and focused on accountants and bookkeepers. so that they don't have to try to make it work for themselves. The platform is already built to work for them, looking at the kind of tasks and projects that they work on.
Gotcha. Okay, now since you joined the company, it hasn't been long, but you have been focusing a lot into brand positioning and brand building. Can you share some specific strategies that have been instrumental in achieving these goals?
Yes, like I said earlier, before we came on board, there were already other options. And I know that branding is one of the best ways to get yourself out there and ensure that when people think about the problem they have, they remember your brand, they remember your company. And a lot of initiatives, a couple of initiatives I would say that we came up with to build the brand. Number one was to introduce a signature conference which is a workflow con, because again, we are a workflow software, a project management software. So we had our first edition last year, October, and over 1,600 people registered. And the goal of that conference was to position us as the experts, as the people you go to when you have questions about how to manage your workflow as an accounting or bookkeeping firm. And so we worked with industry leaders. We worked with our brand ambassadors, people who actually use the products and love the products. And we ensured that the conference was not a pitch of financial sense all through. No, we gave a lot of value. We made it fun. We had a DJ to wrap up the conference on the second day. And the feedback has just been phenomenal. And we are working towards our second edition this year, October. Another thing we did was to reposition our podcast. Before then, our podcast was more generic. We talked about just managing your firm as a whole. And then we realized that there was a need for a workflow podcast, accounting workflow focused podcast. If you search for accounting podcast on the internet right now, there are a lot of options that will come up. But there's nothing specifically for workflows and processes. And so we repositioned our podcast to be focused on workflow, and we called it, or we named it Accounting Flow Podcast. And so right now, our podcast is mainly focused on talking about how to improve your accounting workflows and processes. We have guests that come to talk about their spend management process, their project management process, their team management process, and all of those good stuff. So that's another thing we did. Another thing we did was we introduced a signature report. That's the state of accounting workflow automation. So we started that as well. And the goal with that also was to get insights and data from real accountants and put that together in a report that we can then share with people. Now, that report consistently brings us leads, high quality leads actually. And it's one of our middle of funnel resources that ensures that people get to learn about their problems and how other firms are solving those problems. Now, the reports, when we send out the survey for the reports, it's not just to our customers, it's to all of our list, like our email list. So we're not trying to get data just from financial sense users, but from accountants and bookkeepers as a whole. So we have real answers from real people, and then we put all of those data together into real insights that firms can use to build their firm. We are constantly thinking about ways to position the brand as an expert, as the answer to the questions they have about building their practice and getting their work done. So those are just some of the things we've done so far in terms of brand building.
That's brilliant. And you've been using influencer marketing a lot. So I would love to understand, how do you select influencers in the accounting industry, and how have you basically managed these partnerships, and how exactly are these contributing to your marketing strategy?
Yeah, influencer marketing is a big deal in the accounting industry, and it's simply because this industry is very tight. Everybody knows everybody, and people they respect each other a lot. They respect each other's opinions and much more the opinions of people that they look up to, like people who have built successful firms, people who have done well for themselves and all that. And in terms of selecting the influencers to work with, we just try to find authentic people that are real. They are not just talking. They didn't just maybe they had one success and then they built a whole world around that. But people that have consistently showed that they know what they're talking about and they've helped quite a number of people. And so we try to ensure that our influencer partnership relationships are not just transactional. Oh, I pay you, I do this, you do that. We try to make sure that the relationships are long-term. And so even if we don't work with some of them every single month, we ensure that we have an open door of communication with them, that if we work with you now, we can come back to you in another 5 months and say, oh, hey, we're working on a project and we would like to work with you. And they are always open to work with us, because for them as well, for the influencers that we've worked with, it's not just about getting paid. It's also about helping people, like sharing the knowledge they have to help people build successful firms by getting their workflows right, for example. And yeah, influencer marketing for us has been one of one of our best sources of revenue. Especially, there's a particular influencer we work with that anytime we work with him is like magic. Honestly, that week, that month, you always see a flow of traffic and conversion from him. And we use self-reported attribution. So we ask people, how did you find out about us? And we also have a space where you can actually tell us specifically who told you about us or where. And so we're able to track our influencer partnerships to see that, okay, we worked with this person this week, this month, and we actually saw people actually mention to us, oh, I heard about you from this influencer. So that's how we track to know that these relationships are working.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Okay, now, in fact, your monthly webinars are again playing a critical role. I would love to understand and take your insights into managing a full funnel monthly webinar and partner webinar. And how do you measure the impact of these activities specifically and the impact that they're bringing on your revenue and or even total deal value?
Yeah, thank you for that question. In bit and especially in industry, the accounting industry, webinars are a big deal. I'm telling you, it's amazing how these amazing professionals, as busy as they're one of the busiest people, accountants and bookkeepers. But when it comes to learning, they always show up. So we try to find topics that show that they will get value from joining the webinar. So we have a mix of webinars. We have middle of funnel webinars and bottom of funnel webinars. So for our middle of funnel webinars, we focus more on giving value. So we select topics that give value, that make them feel like they will get something worthwhile out of the conversation. Maybe a topic about pricing. It does not necessarily tie into what we do, but it gives them that knowledge that they need to turn their practice around and make more money, which at the end of the day is one of the goals of them running their businesses. They want to make money, right? And also, to make money, you need to set the right pricing strategy, you need some insights, which Financial Sense actually provides. We have reports. And so we're able to tie parts of our products, even to those topics that seem like they don't necessarily tie directly into what we do. I don't know if that makes sense. So a webinar topic on pricing, for example, we're able to show them just briefly how Financial Sense can help them, can give them the insights they need to know how much they should be charging and clients that are profitable or not profitable for their firms. And for our middle of funnel webinars, we look for those kinds of topics that are very value-giving, informative, and actionable. Then we have bottom of funnel webinars, I would say, where it's purely focused on the products. It's like a demo day or a customer webinar where a customer comes and shows others how they use Financial Sense to solve a problem in their firm. And so they tell you, in the webinar, they tell the participants when they started using Financial Sense, why they started using Financial Sense, and the problem they use Financial Sense to solve. And so what happens is, as someone who is considering Financial Sense, you are able to put yourself in the shoes of that person talking. You can relate to their firm size. You can relate to the challenges they have and relate to how they struggle to find a solution and how this solution they found is now helping them solve that problem. And as a result, we have those, even though those webinars are clearly very product focused, people show up and they ask questions and they sign up for a demo or just sign up for a free trial by themselves. So our middle of funnel, our webinars serve both purposes, middle of funnel and bottom of funnel. And again, we have self-reported attribution, and we also use platform attribution from HubSpot. HubSpot is able to track. So we use both insights, both data rather, to get insights into how well our webinars are performing. And obviously, they are doing good. Each of those webinars have their positions in the funnel and what they are helping us to achieve. And again, WorkflowCon, our conference last year, that month alone, we were able, in fact, when the self-reported attribution for free trials and conversion, WorkflowCon made up, I would say, about 60 to 70% of the conversions we got that month and the following months. And it was just phenomenal how much impact had. And so, yeah, that's the strategy behind our webinars and events.
Gotcha. And tell me one more thing. For your webinar specifically, what channels or strategies have been really useful for you to get the registrations for those? Anything that is doing like really good wonders for you, any strategy, please can you share those insights?
Sure. So we have partner webinars, for example, where we collaborate with another app to host a webinar. So for those kinds of webinars, obviously we're promoting it on our end, they are promoting it on their end. And so that helps us get the kind of traffic and registrations that we need. Another strategy is to send the newsletter invitation out through, send the webinar invitation out through a newsletter that our target audience currently read. So that helps as well, sponsoring a newsletter, not really sponsoring, but sending it out through a newsletter, a paid newsletter. Another strategy is for our bottom of funnel, we just focus on our current email list. We have an email list of about 40,000 people. And so we just send out the bottom of funnel webinars to the people already on our email list, people who already know Financial Sense and who have been engaging with our content. Obviously, we have 40,000 people on our list, so we had to segment the most engaged people, the ones who are not as engaging. So that determines the list we send different webinars to. Another thing we do is social media, but in my opinion, we haven't seen a lot of success with organic push for webinars, maybe a couple of registrations here and there. If you focus just on organic social media to promote a webinar, I doubt you will get a lot of traction, except you have influencers in the company. Maybe the CTO or one of the leadership has a lot of audience and gets a lot of engagement on their post. But ordinarily, social media has not been a good option for us. So what we do instead is Facebook groups as well. We have a Facebook group. We have two Facebook groups, one for our current customers and another for an open, not it's private, but specifically for accounting and bookkeeping firm owners. So we also promote to those kinds of groups and to some of our some Facebook groups that we have relationships with where they allow us to promote our webinars. So those are some of the things we do to push our webinars and ensure we get registrations. Sometimes we also do paid ads, but not all the time. Not all the time, just sometimes. Yeah.
Gotcha. And your organic traffic has been month on month improved since 2022 after you joined. I would love to understand the secret sauce behind that. What strategies have been really helpful pushing your SEO and good organic growth?
Yeah, so when I joined Financial Sense in 2022, at the time we were working with an external agency to manage our SEO and all that. I joined Financial Sense as content marketing lead, actually, in May of 2022. And at the time, I had no control over what was happening with our SEO. I didn't even know the people in charge. I just knew that there was an agency that was doing all that. And so in my first few months, I was just trying to make the content better, both the new content I was writing and the content that was already on the website. So I would send edits to the agency. Can we do this? Can we change this? I also was trying to ensure that the design was also better. At the time, we had all kinds of graphics on the website, on the blog. Sometimes I think they would just download something from Google and just put it in the blog article. And so I wanted to just change the look and feel while also improving our content that I was writing. And then after a while, I also hired an external content writer that was working with me. So we're both writing content. I would edit. So those were the initial steps I took that made some impact. But the real impact came when I started building the team. So in February of 2023, I was promoted to the head of marketing. But before then, I started building the team. I had a SEO specialist I believe he joined us in either December or January. And we made it clear to him what our goals were. And we moved our SEO from the external agency and brought it in-house. And I would say that was a game-changing step that we took, because as soon as we brought it in-house and we could control, we could see, we could plan, we could strategize, we decided on the core keywords we wanted to focus on. Myself, the CEO, and the SEO manager, we had multiple calls and talked about the core keywords that we want to go after, the core keywords that our competitors are dominating, and that's what's helping them get the traffic and the conversions. And that, I feel like when you make the goal clear to your team, it makes it easy for them to like go after those goals and achieve them. And so when we made it clear to the SEO manager, these are our goals, then he was able to go back, create a strategy, come back with the strategy, and we reviewed everything, made changes here, and we decided, okay, what are the resources we need? We said, okay, we need backlink specialists, we need more content writers, and these are the topics that we'll focus on for the next few months. So that was a very interesting exercise for all of us. And the SEO manager, I really appreciate all the hard work he put into his job, because in a matter of months, we started seeing the impact of his work. We were ranking on page 1, sometimes position 5, 6, 7, 8, within 3 months of him focusing on those core keywords that we said we wanted to rank for. And before the 6th month, we were actually on position 2, 3, 4, page 1 for I think I would say about 10% of our core keywords. And the core keywords we chose were commercial keywords, so not generic keywords, like keywords that people actually search for when looking for a solution like Financial Sense. And this strategy and everything did not just impact our traffic. Every month, consistently, Google organic SEO is one of our largest sources of free trials and demos. People actually come to the website and start a free trial by themselves or schedule a demo with the sales team. So SEO is just, I would say, is one of our best channels and has been consistently growing and improving since then. So we work with 2 backlink specialists and about 3 or 4 content writers in general. And that has been really helpful, because every week we have new, fresh content. Another strategy is, some months ago, we created an editorial committee. So our target audience, accounting and bookkeeping firm owners, and none of us on the marketing team right now, none of us is an accountant or a bookkeeper, but we have ambassadors, like actual users of Financial Sense that love us. And so we built an editorial committee of 3 of those people that we send our content to review. give feedback, make improvements before we publish on the website. And so now we've also added on well, I would say our content reviewed by XXX CPA, giving our content more credibility. So that's another thing that we did. And the final thing that we did in terms of SEO is like I said, when I initially joined FC, we had a blog that was underdeveloped. The graphics were all over the place. The content was just low quality content that you would just know that someone went on Google, put together everything they could find about that topic and just wrote something. And so one of the things I did even before hiring anybody was I wanted to improve the quality of our content, ensure that we were writing things that people could relate with. And another thing was I wanted the blog to look better. So we worked on a content hub. So right now we have a content hub on the website where all our content lives. And that was a game changer for our SEO because we have breadcrumbs, we're able to tie our core keywords to specific articles. So we have different categories of content on the website. It's just all put together, nicely looking and cleaner, not a lot of things bogging down our content and preventing them from ranking on Google.
Gotcha. Well, that's actually brilliant. And one of the good things that I picked from here is that you have your industry leaders, mention them on your blogs and stuff. That's actually very clever. After the Google's EAT update, that's quite evident. People should do this. When you have a content piece reviewed or even written by someone as an industry expert, Google does recognizes your own domain as a matter expert too, and it adds a lot of credibility. So makes perfect sense. Okay. Now, as someone who has led marketing efforts on both agency and client sides, what key lessons have you learned, specifically when working with the seed stage and I would say growth stage startups?
So I like to call myself the startup girl. I actually enjoy the world of startups. I feel like it's an opportunity to really roll up your sleeves and get work done. I was talking to someone yesterday and I was saying when you work for a seed stage or growth stage startup, for example, your work shows. If you are not getting work done, it will show in the results. Your work actually matters and your work makes an impact. If you are doing well, you see it on the revenue, on your traffic, you see it in everything. And if you're not working, if you're not doing your best or you're not achieving results, it also shows in that regard. I would say that I enjoy working for startups. And the biggest lesson I've learned is that if you really want to grow your career, in my opinion, it's not a general opinion, in my opinion, if you really want to quickly jumpstart, grow your career, develop your skills, startups are the best places to get that done. I started on the agency side and I realized that I had really positive culture experiences with the startups I worked for. I'm sorry, with the agency I worked for. I wanted more. I wanted to learn. I wanted to do things. I wanted to make an impact. My major thing was I wanted to see that what I was doing mattered, like it's impacted the company. And I couldn't see it on the agency side, really. I didn't have control of how things like as an agency, you can recommend steps to the company, but the company can choose not to do those things, even if the ideas are really great, because the company has their own internal marketing team that thinks differently. Most times it's difficult to merge agency with the internal marketing team. And I think any agency that is able to figure that out will really succeed, because that's like there's a major disconnect in that regard. And so that was like the biggest takeaway I got from working on the agency side, which is that agency side is good as well. It's like a consulting firm. You get to work with different brands. I worked with financial services companies. I worked with manufacturing, food. I worked with ExxonMobil, KFC, GSK, all these really lovely names, big names in the world. But I was very much limited in terms of the impact I could make, in terms of seeing the impact of my work immediately. And so I wanted that, which was why I moved to the to the startup side. And so my biggest takeaway from the startup world is that your work matters, your work shows. And if you want to grow, if you want to really learn quickly, this is the best place to be. The way I've grown working for Financial Sense in the last, what now? It'll be 2 years in May.
Yeah.
Is just amazing, even to me. Like, I look back at where I was. What I always had was a desire to make an impact. What I always had was diligence and a mindset of giving my best and owning my role, being the CEO of my role. Those were the mindset I came into Financial Sense with and I've always had. But I didn't have all the skills in the world. I learned on the job. I took courses. I listen to I make mistakes, learn from my mistakes, try again, build the team. So I just love the world of startups, and it's been an amazing ride for me so far.
And since Tosin, we have talked about a lot of areas, one key area that we missed out on is your customer retention side. I would love to understand what all programs or what are marketing initiatives that you have in place to keep your customers engaged with the platform and retain them. And that's very crucial, to be honest, in the SaaS space that we are in. Please.
Yeah, that's crucial, obviously, because you can bring in all these conversions and customers, but if they are not staying with you, you have a problem, right? However, for us, most the way we've managed or structured how this works is that the CS team and the marketing team and the leadership team works together to ensure that that retention stays really good. Our retention rate right now is over 90%. And we send out NPS surveys all the time to try to find out what people think about us. Are they enjoying the platform? We also have monthly webinars where people learn about the newest features and how they can use those features. We have all these conferences where we go in person and we try to meet our customers and answer their questions, take care of their or whatever concerns they have. We also have a Facebook user group where it's extremely active in there. People are asking questions, people are sharing their opinions. In fact, if we need to make a decision, say maybe we are caught in between two webinar topics, for example, just an example, we can actually take it to the user group and ask them, what do you guys think between this topic and that topic? And you would get people respond, oh, I think this topic is better. I think this is what you should do. And that's just something outside of Financial Sense as a product. So that's how engaging, that's how engaging the community is. And we try to keep it that way. So people feel like they can ask questions, they can share their feedback, and they know that they are being listened to. So yeah, those are some of the things we do right now to ensure that we retain them. And another thing I would mention is that we are consistently always improving the products. So yesterday I was working on an email to send out to a segment of our email list. And in this email, I had to list out some of our recent feature updates in the last 1 year. And I was just amazed. I was in awe of how much the product has improved, gotten better just in 1 year. The integrations that we have now, the feature updates, the little things and the big things. And there's no better way to retain your customers than to ensure that your product is constantly being improved upon based on their feedback. So kudos to our dev team for just being the best there is, always improving the product. Every single week we push an update. We push a feature update or an improvement here and there, and people see it, people appreciate it. That's another thing people talk about in giving feedback. I love the fact that you listen to us and you are constantly improving the platform based on our feedback.
Oh, that's brilliant. All right, and we're coming to an end, and I would love to have a quick rapid fire with you. Are you ready for that?
Okay.
Okay. If given superpower, what will you choose? Would you rather be able to speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals?
Oh, be able to speak every language in the world, for sure.
Okay. Interesting. If you could travel back in time, what period would you go to?
Oh, I would go back to the BC. Yeah, the world, how the world looked like in the BC is like maybe 10 BC or 20 BC, I don't know.
Why is that?
I just imagine how different the world looked like back then, like
Okay.
the philosophies and how people looked, how people behaved. I think it's just fascinating to me how that's a time period. BC for sure, not AD, not any of the recent times. BC.
All right. What's something you can eat for a week straight?
I would say rice. As a Nigerian, we eat a lot of rice, different types of rice, jollof, fried,
Yeah.
coconuts, everything, village
Yeah.
rice, everything. So rice, yes.
All right. I think we Indians do the same. So, yeah. All right. What's your hidden talent?
So I don't know. That's a difficult question. Every time I get asked that question, I don't know
Yeah.
what to say. So I would say I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay. So everything about you is quite evident. You are. Okay. Now coming to my very last question. What's your last Google search?
What was my last Google search? I can't remember. I think it was, I can't remember, honestly. What was it? Can I check? Is that fine?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Check.
Okay.
Check your
So
history.
I think, yeah. So my last Google, interesting. My last Google search was financial sense. I wanted to see if a change I had requested had been done. So I used my phone to search for financial sense. That's how
Okay.
much I love financial sense.
That's quite a commitment. Thank you so much, Tosin, for sharing all your experiences, your knowledge about the company. I really enjoyed this conversation with you and appreciate your time here with me. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much. I appreciate you having me here, and I enjoyed talking to you as well.